Welcome in, Hawks fan. Your boy, Brad Lewis, back at it again for another Believe in Hawks episode. So, obviously, the news is hit. Jalen Johnson done for the season. Torn labrum. He'll be having surgery next week, and we'll be back for next year. Right? Sad news, worst case scenario for all Hawks fans in terms of this season. In terms of for Jalen, sucks for him. Obviously, a guy who some people view could have been an all-star guy, could have been a most improved player guy, and now his season is over. And now a lot of questions remain because of the injury. A lot of people right now are panicking, I would say. Oh, my God, what are we going to do? Trade everybody, trade. Everybody's doing that right now. A lot of people blame ownership, blame the front office. Everybody is playing the blame game right now. And so I'll get into my thoughts on the injury, what this means for the Hawks moving forward. Also, we have other news. Bogdanovic, latest report from the Hawks, not with the team right now. Could that mean a trade is on the way for Bogi? And Clint is also out due to back spasms. We talked about in my review of the Rockets game how that seemed a little weird how they operated it. Could that mean a trade is coming? I talked to my guy, if you watched my last episode, Brett Siegel. He talked about some of the trade stuff the Hawks could do. Go check that out if you want to go look at. Still very relevant. And I hit him up afterwards, and he was like, right now, nothing much is changing on the Hawks end, but obviously we are a week away. So we'll get into all that on Believe in Hawks. Appreciate you guys tuning in for another episode. If you enjoyed the episode, subscribe to the channel, like the video, leave a comment down below about anything we talk about in today's video, anything you want to bring up, questions you want to ask, etc. Audio listeners, leave a rating, leave a review, tell your friends about Believe in Hawks. Let's keep it rolling. Obviously, follow me on Twitter at Bricey_2K as we keep up with everything going on leading up to the trade deadline and beyond for our Atlanta Hawks. So like I said, Jalen Johnson out for the year. It sucks for him. Like, I mean, he was a guy who clearly you saw with the numbers when Jalen Johnson played that the Hawks were a good team. The Hawks were better per possession, better plus minus, a lot of stats reflected that Jalen Johnson being on the floor for the Hawks was a big positive for this team. But you also realize the way this team was constructed, it was very dependent on him and Trey Young. So losing one of them was a big blow, right? Especially because you could say the Hawks don't have an adequate backup for him. And also his skill set is so unique, they're able to do certain things with him on the floor. And so when he's gone, now you lose a lot of that. One thing I've always described Jalen Johnson is he's always had juice. A guy who you just have that player who can just provide something that could just get something going, whether that's him on his fast break dunks, whether that's him attacking the rim and ones. He was a guy who would go downhill, use his power, use his strength to create plays, get and ones, dunk on folks, whatever. And so a man who was working on the three-point shot and etc. Obviously, leading up to the injury, he had that right shoulder inflammation where he was trying to get that worked on, missed a few games, came back, and everybody was like, all right, so, Jalen here. Obviously, you could tell when you're having a shoulder injury, especially with a game like what he plays very physical. You obviously want to, make sure you're not overextending yourself and cause that to, have any issues, with your right shoulder, right? And so Jalen was working his way back, and then a non-contact injury against the Raptors, which was the torn labrum. Jalen has came a long way, I think. Obviously, the biggest thing people are going to question with him right now is injuries. It's just can he stay healthy? Which obviously, I mean, in today's game, we've seen the amount of injuries grow so much. It's one of those things where is it becoming normal just to expect players to miss games regardless of how good they are? It's just normal. Like I say, they've said this for years. You can't expect players to play 82. Is it going to become normal to just say if your player can play 65 to 70 games, that's fine? And so, because I mean, realistically, so many guys, like I said, have missed games just due to different things. And Jalen's been a guy who really last year, when the Kyle Kuzma play happened, which caused him to miss some time, and then the ankle injuries happened, you're like, all right, the ankle injuries can be fixed, which he hasn't had ankle injuries this year, right? He had that scare in the playing game, but not playing game, but NBA Cup game, but he played through it, right? But now with him, having this torn labrum, I mean, non-contact, usually anything non-contact in sports is usually bad. You're gonna question it. But at the same time, when he's healthy, you know how good he is. You know how good he is. And so I'm seeing people talk about we may need to trade him. Again, if you're saying that, you're stupid. I'm sorry. You're stupid. You're not going to trade him for that. That's just not going to happen. I mean, realistically, what are you trading him for? Like, if this is a part of your full-scale rebuild thing, I would rather see people say that we're going to build around JJ than just trade them all. Because then it's like, so we're just going to reset this entire thing from the ground up. Every single player that we have. I mean, we're going to build around Zach. I mean, is that what we're doing? That's why I don't understand that talk. Like, no, you're not trading JJ. Just gave him the extension. You're gonna let him play through it. Listen, Hunter has had injuries a lot of his career, and we've complained. A lot of y'all have hated that man for it and feel like he never was worth the pick. This is the first year that y'all feel like he's been justified in this contract and the pick. It took him a while. Sometimes that's just how it goes. Now, obviously, you don't want that to be the case for Jalen, and you obviously hope he's going to be healthier as time goes on. But obviously, I think that he's here. Like, he is a guy you're going to have on your team. He's just too valuable. Quinn loves him. Trae loves him. You're not going to do it. Right? So then you have some people who I've talked about panicking. Trade everybody. Trade, right? Sell. We're hearing sell a lot, right? Here's one thing I will repeat to you guys that Trey Young said last year after the All-Star game. He said in his post All-Star game presser that he's planning to play his contract out till the end. Trey Young can hit free agency in 2026, right? That's when we'll know what Trey Young's future is. Obviously, after this season, if the Hawks feel like Trey Young indicates to them he won't resign, then yes, you will look into trading Trey Young. But right now, nobody has an idea of what Trey is thinking. We don't know how this is impacting Trey or what. Because Trey has been a guy who I've said on multiple occasions has believed in Quinn, believed in what he's coaching. And especially this season, it's like, if you're Trey Young, you're probably sitting there and you're thinking, when we were healthy, we were a winning team. We beat some of the best teams. We had a winning record when we're healthy. So in your head, you're like, I mean, if we're able to get these guys back next year, stay healthy, make some changes, why can't we just continue to build off of that and compete, be more competitive next year? I know a lot of people may listen to this right now, man. I want to hear that. But I mean, he didn't say anything. There were no lies there. There's no lies in that logic of thinking. And so somebody had mentioned to me, I put my last episode on Reddit. Someone had mentioned about how they just want the Hawks to rebuild. But he also said in that same thing, he said he wants to keep Trae, Jalen Johnson, Dyson Daniels, and Zach and Ricochet. Zach Ricochet. Well, if you keep them and you keep Okongwu, your starting lineup for next year is already back. So at that point, you're just changing your bench, which realistically, the way things are looking right now, if you're the Hawks, really your biggest question going into next year is who's going to be your 7 through 9, 7 through 10, realistically. I mean, because a lot of people have been mentioning DeAndre Hunter and Trey talks, what I'll get to in a second, but I mean, that's who you're really replacing. Like pretty much Trey, Dyson will be your backcourt next year. Zach will probably start at the 3. Hunter will probably stay on the bench. Jalen Johnson will be back at the 4, and Okongwu will be at the 5. Those are your top 6 guys. You just got to figure out what the rest of that rotation is going to look like and how good can you make it, right? Because obviously, this could be the end of Bogdan Bogdanovic. I mean, this probably is the end of Clint Capella in terms of like this season, whether he's traded or he walks in free agency. We don't know what they're thinking about when it comes to Kobe Buffkin. We have no idea if they're willing to give that a shot next year. We don't know. The Hawks have been a team that likes to assess the season, see what they have on the roster, and then look in the next year. Right now, I mean, as far as I know, Bogi is set to make a second start against Cleveland. I've said this. I have said this. I said at this rate, it seems like that you're going to probably run with Bogi for the time being. I mean, when Zach gets back, maybe you go in a different direction, but I mean, I don't know. I mean, obviously, I don't know if he's going to get the start. Riche wasn't on the injury report. So, I mean, they may move Gay to the bench, which is fine. But either way, I think Gay is going to play. So, you're trying to see what you have in him. And if he's a guy who can impress down the stretch of the season and maybe be one of those guys that they put into the rotation next year. Especially at the backup 4 spot, which you probably would want to have for a guy like Jalen. So that way you have a much more better construction of the roster. So, and now going to DeAndre Hunter, I've seen a lot of people talk about trading DeAndre this offseason. Like trade him, get rid of him, whatever, right? Again, I don't know how the Hawks are viewing this. If you trade DeAndre Hunter, this is what you're looking at for your bench. You have no offense coming off your bench next year. You're trading Bogi, you're trading Hunter, you have no offense, right? Okongwu's not on your bench anymore. I don't see the Hawks doing that. I don't. Like, I feel like this season, if anything, has made them feel more certain about DeAndre and made them say, we are going to hang on to Hunter. And I talked to Brett about it after the episode, and he was just like, yeah, like, I mean, actually, during the episode, if you watch it, he says it. He's like, no, the Hawks love Hunter. I think this season has pretty much made them feel like, yeah, we should probably keep him. The thing is I think with the injury to Jalen, everyone is just in this panic. We got to restart now. We have to. There's no way we can wait till next year to see, right? Everybody, I think a lot of Hawks fans are viewing this as, I don't want to keep seeing. I either want to know we're bad or know we're good. I don't want to hope we're good or hope whatever. I want to know what direction we're in, right? And that's fair. I'm not upset at you for wanting more clarity with this team direction. I've been talking about how I felt like one of the biggest issues the last few years has been the lack of team clarity they've given the fan base to understand, well, how much should I invest into this team? Should I have these playoff expectations? But I don't see them moving Hunter. Again, that could change in the offseason. This is just me right now. That could change the offseason, right? Because, again, if anything, you could trade Bogi, and now obviously Hunter is your top bench player this year, but now truly solidify him as your top bench player. And then you just, like I said, replace what's behind him, which, I mean, what you need a backup shooting guard, you need a backup center, and you need a backup 4. I mean, and like I said, also this depends on Quinn and what he wants to do with his rotation. People have said the 9-man rotation can be unbeneficial at times because there's one position that you may not be necessarily investing your resources into because you're not necessarily expecting to play that position off the bench that much, which they have to figure out. This year it was the 4. They just said Hunter will play backup 4. That could change next year with his injury because they may want to have more of a solidified 4. Like I said, especially if Muhammad Gay comes along. Like, he's proving to you that, if that happens, he deserves to play. And that's why this is a big opportunity for Muhammad Gay to take this next step and show them that he's ready to play next year. Because I know some people were thinking that Muhammad Gay would have gotten into the rotation this year. I mean, I think that's where we are right now with this team. So, I was also talking to Brett, and he mentioned, like, if there was a trade that could be made, the Hawks make. He mentioned a Capella for Lonzo Ball flip to me. He said it's only if the Bulls wanted to trade Vucevic. And he also said, but even if that happens, it's still unlikely. It's just a move that could be made because then the Bulls would have a need at center. And then that maybe could be how the Hawks get another guard in there. I think personally Lonzo will be really good for this offense, the way they want to play especially. But at the same time, one of the biggest issues with this Hawks offense and what we've seen these last games is shooting, and he's not really solving that. He's just helping with the playmaking and taking the playmaking responsibilities a little bit off Trae Young's plate. So, obviously that is where we stand when it comes to them moving forward in terms of what type of different situations or different scenarios they could potentially get into to then make a decision on what the direction of this team is, right? So there's a chance we could learn a lot about this team's direction next week going up into that trade deadline. But there's a chance that the Hawks may stand pat. And I know that is something that no Hawks fan wants to hear, especially after losing one of your best players, which then, like I said, a lot of people I saw were blaming the front office. Why were we not prepared for this? Again, I have to make this mention. Jalen Johnson is one of your best players, and he's a really high-end player. It's hard to prepare for a high-end player losing him. It's when the Lakers lose AD, they may have some guys who can play in AD's place, but at the end of the day, they're not AD, so they're losing something. So the Lakers lose more games because AD's not playing. Well, we're going to say Pelinka didn't prepare for that. How could you prepare to lose Anthony Davis? It's kind of the same thing with the Hawks. How can you prepare to lose Jalen Johnson when you have nobody else who could do what he does? Like I said, I agree that they should probably have had a more adequate four ready. Like Gay shouldn't have to be playing now after he's hurt. You should have maybe been trying to get him in there already, have them even play together at times, and see what that looks like. Not, we need Gay to play four on our top roster now. And like I said, with Ricochet playing tomorrow, as far as we saw on the injury report, they might, they may just go back to Trey, Dyson, Zach, Vic Krejci, and Okongwu. Personally, I'd move Krejci back to the bench, in my personal opinion, in this situation. I move him back to the bench. I would start Gay. And then your bench now is what? They played Keaton, too, so I'm assuming Keaton might get some minutes tomorrow as well. So what you're thinking, Keaton, Hunter, Krejci, and Larry Nance? Probably. So, that's where you kind of stand right now if you're the Hawks. When it comes to all these different things and all these different scenarios and all these different places you could take this. Because losing Jalen Johnson is a big blow. It is. Hawks probably will still be in the play-in picture just because the East is weak. The question is, how will they navigate without their second best player? Right? Now, switching to Bogdan Bogdanovic. Obviously, as we know, Minnesota game, warmed up, wasn't on the injury report, stopped playing. Right? Didn't play. DNP. Next game, personal reasons. Latest injury report, not with the team. So obviously the trade noises have grown large. People are wondering, is this the Hawks, especially with Bogi, who's been injury prone his career, just saying, hey, Bogi, we're going to try to get you somewhere else. We're just not going to have you play, and we'll go from there. That could be the direction the Hawks are headed in with Bogi. They could very well be headed in the direction of trading Bogdan Bogdanovic to another team. And I think a lot of people are starting to kind of prepare for it. Now, I've mentioned that he may really have some actual personal issues that he's dealing with, and that's why he's out with the team right now. We don't know. The team has not told us what those personal issues are. But I think the way things have gone, people are kind of like, is this a trade? Seeing people toss some stuff out there. Someone tossed out there potentially Dallas maybe giving the Hawks a pick and a player for Bogi. Could be. I don't think that's, and people admit sometimes they're doing this just based off scenarios. Because again, with the Jalen Johnson injury, I'm seeing the Hawks pop up in the Jimmy Butler trade. I'm seeing them pop up in the Kings trade. Oh, maybe the Kings should get Trae Young or whatever. Like, people are already trying to think, okay, what the Hawks might do right now with this big injury, Trae on the way, things like that. Right? But, Bogi's been mentioned a little bit. And the thing is, it's just, if this is the end of Bogi, I mean, he has done a lot for this team. He has been a great sixth man for this team. He has given us great moments, hot shooting, big performances, and some of the best years coming off the bench in Atlanta. Obviously, the big thing for Atlanta is just, how do you replace it? How do you replace what he is capable of giving you? Who can replace it? I've always said that it's more likely the Hawks will be able to replace it in free agency or the draft more than a trade, just because you're not going to get the same player back in return for him. So you may be able to get a better defender back, but you're not going to get the same offensive player back. So again, which with the Hawks offense right now has been the issue. Their defense has been really good the last two games. The offense has been the issue. But again, it depends on what the Hawks want to do. Are you thinking about next year now? What is the thinking of this year? Which I think through the trade deadline will give us a better idea of what that is. But, if, like I said, if this is something going on with Bogi, I hope he's okay. I hope family's okay and everything under the sun. Obviously, people are going to be digging. I would not be surprised to maybe hear something moving on. Brett has not heard anything yet on that front, because he basically was just like, nothing's really changed since Jalen got hurt. But again, we're a week away. That could change. Like, they may not have done anything yet, but in 3 days they may start doing something. So, I mean, these are all things that we just have to kind of wait and see on. I mean, I saw something that apparently the Chicago Bulls rejected a Vucevic for Clint Capella trade because the Bulls wanted something attached to him. And obviously, with the limited amount of draft picks you have in Atlanta, you really don't have much else to attach to him. Because, like I said, I mean, what are you really attaching to Vucevic? You really don't want to give up Bobby Bogi in that trade. Plus, the Bulls have so many guards. I mean, I don't think they'd want him either. I mean, I don't know. You're going to give him 2 centers for Vucevic? I mean, I don't know if that's something you do. But that just was an interesting tidbit to see. And like I said, we're going to see, because of this injury, the Hawks pop up in many more trade scenarios because of the situation. So I think that will be what will be interesting moving forward, is how they navigate this, right? And like I said, after this season, I think all eyes will be on Trae Young to people, because they're going to be wondering, you're a year out from free agency. Do you start giving indications to Atlanta if you want to leave? But like I mentioned to y'all at the beginning of the video, I really think Trae believes in Jalen. He believes in Quinn. He believes in what they're building. And he's seen, basically, hey, when we're healthy, we can compete with the best. So, and Trae, and I think people get this misconception of Trae. He is a star, but he's not a selfish superstar in terms of, he's going to be outspoken and things of that nature in terms of like what he wants from the team. He has been very cooperative. They brought Trae in and said, hey, we want you to be more of a leader, more down to earth. We want you to connect with your teammates more. And he did it. No, and I don't think he gave much of a fight. He did it. And I think it's helped. So to me at this moment, I don't see Trae just coming out of this. Like I said, now this season ends on a completely terrible end and they miss the play in and just nosedive, then all bets are off what Trae Young's going to do. But if the Hawks fight, if the Hawks compete with the injury to Jalen Johnson and they fight, Trae really might be willing to say, I'm willing to go another year, because it's the fact that he's seen the potential of the team. And then he may be thinking, Dyson gets another year to get better. Rishi Shea gets another year to get better. Jalen gets healthy. Kongu's in the starting lineup. Hunter can at least be around what he was this year. He may look at that and think, I want to kind of see. Like I said, the Hawks have a chance to extend this offseason, so we'll have an idea. Obviously, because you're going to enter that question of, if he's about to be a free agent, are the Hawks going to trade him before he walks to get some assets? So we will know probably this offseason, before next trade deadline, what the Hawks will do with Trey Young, and we'll go from there. But right now, Jalen's out. His recovery is a priority. How they replace that, what they get from that position while he's gone, will be interesting. How they compete down the stretch of the season will be interesting. And then we'll probably have answers on Clint Capella, on Bogdan Bogdanovic as we move forward. So obviously, I will keep up with that. I will see what's going on. I'll check in. I will be here. If anybody gets traded, I will be here with a podcast for you guys. Hopefully not on the weekends, because that means I can't get it up to that night. But if not, I will be here and give my reaction, my analysis to whatever the deal is, and see what happens. So like I said, I know it's a very frustrating time for a lot of Hawks fans right now. I know it's a very tough time for Hawks fans right now. But all you can do is just see how things play out. That's all you can really do right now. So we'll see how things play out for the Hawks. And we'll see what answers we're given over the next week. So I appreciate you guys tuning in for another episode of Believe in Hawks. Definitely go ahead, hit that like button, subscribe button if you enjoyed the episode. Leave a comment down below. Audio listeners as well. Available any podcast platform out there. If you want to listen to Believe in Hawks on the road, going to work, having lunch break, whatever. See what's happening with your team, man. And I appreciate you guys letting me be part of your day, man. So we'll see how things go moving forward with the Hawks. But Jalen Johnson out for the year. Big bummer for the team. We'll have to see how things transpire as we get close to the trade deadline. It's your boy, Bryce Lewis. See you next time.